Welcome to Just the Facts. Today we're tackling a huge and, frankly, unsettling question. Is American democracy being sold to the highest bidder?
It's a question you hear everywhere, Alex. People feel powerless, like their vote just doesn't matter against a tidal wave of corporate cash and billionaire donors.
Yeah.
So we wanted to find out if that's just a feeling or if the facts actually back it up.
Okay, let's start with a hard number. According to the data trackers at OpenSecrets, in 2024 alone, corporations and special interests spent over, get this, $4.4 billion on federal lobbying. And that's not campaign money. That is money spent, specifically spent to get in the ear of lawmakers and shape our laws.
And that's just one piece of the puzzle. When you add in campaign spending, the numbers are just staggering. This fire hose of cash was really turned on by a series of Supreme Court decisions. It didn't happen overnight. The first key ruling was way back in 1976, Buckley v. Valeo.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the case that first established this whole legal doctrine that money is a form of speech. The court said you can't limit how much someone spends to get their message out because that violates the First Amendment.
Right.
But they did, however, allow for limits on direct contributions to a candidate, as a guardrail against outright bribery.
But that guardrail was completely blown apart in 2010. The case was Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission. In a 5-4 ruling, the Supreme Court decided that corporations and unions have the same free speech rights as people. The result? They can now spend unlimited amounts of money to influence our elections.
And that gave us the Super PAC. I think it's crucial to understand the difference here. A traditional political action committee, a PAC, can give money directly to a candidate, but it's limited to about $5,000 per donor. A Super PAC, though, born from Citizens United, cannot give money directly to a candidate, but it can raise and spend unlimited sums of money from corporations and billionaires on things like attack ads.
And the only rule is they're not supposed to coordinate with the official campaign, but it's a rule that Watchdogs say is so weak, it's practically meaningless.
Wow.
So this creates a massive imbalance. If money is speech, then the wealthy get a megaphone, and the average citizen is left whispering.
And Ben, this isn't just theoretical. There was a landmark study out of Princeton by two scholars, Martin Gillens and Benjamin Page, that put this to the test.
Okay.
They analyzed, I think it was 1,779 different policy issues to see who actually gets what they want from the government.
And the results are just jaw-dropping. They found that the preferences of the average American have, quote, little or no independent influence on what policies our government enacts.
Let me just repeat that, little to no influence. Their data showed that whether, say, 80% of the public supports an idea or only 20% supports it, that policy has about a 30% chance of becoming law either way. But if economic elites and business groups support a policy, its chances of passing go up dramatically.
This is the factual basis for what so many people feel. And public opinion data from the Pew Research Center, it confirms it. Over 80% of Republicans and Democrats believe big donors have too much influence.
Right.
And 70% of Americans say people in their own district have too little. I mean, that's a fundamental breakdown of representation.
So this leads to the most important question then. Is this situation reversible, or is the system just, permanently captured?
Well, there are proposed solutions on the table, and they fall into two main categories. The first is legislative. Bills like the DISCLOSE Act aim to eliminate dark money by forcing these secret money groups to reveal their big donors.
Okay.
At least then we'd know who is paying for all the ads we see.
And there's another proposal, the Empower Act. It tries to change the game by creating a public matching system for small dollar donations. So, for example, your $50 donation to a presidential candidate could be matched 6-to-1 with public funds, turning it into a $350 contribution.
Right.
The goal is to make candidates focus on energizing thousands of regular people, not just, courting a few billionaires.
But the ultimate fix, and it's the heaviest lift, would be a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United entirely. It would state clearly that constitutional rights belong to human beings, not corporations, and that Congress and the states do have the power to regulate money and politics. It sounds radical, but 22 states have already passed resolutions calling for exactly that.
I feel like this really puts us at a true crossroads. One path is the status quo, where the gap between the rulers and the ruled just grows wider, and public trust continues to collapse. The other path, it involves a massive fight to reclaim the principle of one person, one vote.
But it all comes down to a really difficult paradox. Can a political system this dependent on and influenced by money ever find the will to vote that money and influence away?
That is the defining question for the future of American democracy. And as we leave you today, we have a question we'd like you to think about.
If voting is the primary way for the average citizen to exercise their power, but policy is overwhelmingly dictated by money, what does that power truly mean?